I am a literary agent at the Greenhouse Literary Agency, and I began my career in publishing as an editorial intern and then an editorial assistant at Penguin, and was there for several years working in mass market publishing, working on everything from movie and TV tie-ins to Mad Libs, and some middle grade series as well. And from there, I moved to Albert Whitman and Company, where I spent about a year working on more school and library titles. And then I moved over into trade publishing at Simon Schuster Books for Young Readers, where I really sort of got to work on everything from picture books through YA, focusing really on middle grade and on picture books in particular. And yeah, and then I spent a couple of years doing some freelance editing and writing. I do a lot of work for hired writing, and I have done since the beginning of my career. And then about a year ago came to agenting at Greenhouse, which was something I thought about doing for a really long time. And it's been a blast so far, and I'm really enjoying this new side of the industry.
So hopefully I'm catching you just as you're a year in, you're still actively building your list and eager to sign all of my audience who's listening closely for details about what they need to do to be represented by you. But already an incredibly impressive career thus far, and only to become more impressive going forward, I'm sure. Let's go back a little bit. I love a good origin story, and so does esteemed audience. You are the daughter of a librarian, which I assume factors into your love of reading.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we read tons growing up. My mom was always bringing home the latest ALA award winners, and I definitely, it definitely fostered a love of reading in me. And yeah, I mean, I just have always been interested in books, both as, both in reading them and as a product. And I just love this industry as a result. Yeah.
Do you remember what were some of, this is an impossible question and I acknowledge that, but what were some of your favorite books growing up?
Yeah. So the ones that stand out to me the most, when I was particularly small, I really loved Corduroy. That was the one book that I had my mom read over and over and over and over again. It's burned into my memory. I just loved that book. It was always so magical to me. So that was, I would say, my favorite picture book for sure. And then I mentioned my mom would always bring home, the ALA award-winning books. When she brought home Walk Two Moons for me, that book just changed my life. I remember devouring it, and it's kind of all of the things I really still want in a middle grade novel. And Sharon Creech is just such an astonishing author. So, I mean, those are two of the highlights. There are many, many more, but those are kind of two of my all-time favorites.
So were you a voracious reader? Did you always have a book in your hand?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember walking up and down stairs with my nose in a book. Now my eldest daughter is 6, and she'll, we'll walk to the bus stop and she'll have her nose in a book, and I go, oh, she got that from me. But yeah, absolutely. I read all the time, and still do when I'm not reading manuscripts. Love to read. So yeah, absolutely.
And obviously you became a writer, but did you first want to be an author? Or did you want to work in publishing, or just a little bit of everything?
I don't know that I always loved the idea of writing, and always enjoyed doing it in school. And I don't know that it really ever occurred to me that I could work in publishing until much later, when I was in college and I was an English major trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and was visiting a friend here in New York. We went to the public library, the main branch with the 2 big lions out front. And we were in the bookshop, in the gift shop, and I gravitated towards the kids' books, as I always have done. And my friend was the one who said to me at the time, have you ever thought about working in children's publishing? And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. I should do that. So I owe her a lot of credit for really putting that in my head, because it never really, occurred to me that was something I could do for a living. It kind of brought together all the things that I really like. So yeah, it wasn't something that seemed obvious right away, but once it clicked into place, it made all the sense in the world.
It's one of those things, it seems almost like an impossible dream here in the Midwest, the thought of you're there in Michigan and you're going to go to New York and you're going to become a senior editor with Penguin Random House, and then Simon and Schuster. So how do you make that move?
How do I make the move to living in New York?
to living to New York and then to getting yourself into a position where you can rise to that status?
Yeah. So between my when I was a junior in college, I applied for internships and was fortunate enough to get one at Penguin, and just came out and spent a summer out here. Was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and then the following year, when I was graduating from college, they happened to have an editorial assistant position open up and called me up, and so I moved out here 2 weeks after college graduation and started to work for Penguin. So a lot of things just kind of lined up, and I was very, very lucky that way. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of never really looked back. As I mentioned, I started out in mass market publishing and really wanted to make the move over into trade books and working on novels and picture books. And that was something that I think took a bit of work to sort of maneuver from mass market publishing over into that side of things. But I'm really glad I was able to, and I think it gave me so much experience. That's both working in mass market publishing and in trade publishing has given me so much experience. It's been so invaluable, and I think in agenting in particular has been really informative.
So obviously anybody who sends you a query and who's lucky enough to be selected is going to benefit from all of those years of experience working within publishing. When you move from mass market over to trade, is that just a matter of obviously excelling at your current position and then networking and looking for the openings when they come?
Yeah, it was. I think a lot of networking made a big difference. And I think the fact that I was able to work at Albert Whitman and Company, which is a very small publisher. And like I said, they do mostly school and library. That's their market primarily. But, you know, they're hardcover picture books, middle grade novels and young adult novels. And I think transitioning to a small place gave me some, I was able to sort of get my sea legs with working on more trade-like titles. And so that was, I think, a big part of it. And then a friend of mine from Penguin was the one who sent me the job listing for the Books for Young Readers position at SNS. And I think all the things kind of came together because they were looking for somebody who could do not only trade titles, but sort of their more crash titles that they were looking to publish quickly. And given my mass market experience, we had to crash out projects frequently, and we were given very short deadlines to kind of punch books out. And so when we had like a book by a celebrity author, for example, and they wanted to get it out right away, I'd had that training to sort of do things more speedily as well. So I think that was really helpful in moving over to SNS. And then I had the opportunity to do all kinds of different books there.